Are you able to hear me? If you're on Zoom, are you able to hear me? Paramjeet, let me know if you can hear me. Okay, let me make sure that you guys are able to hear me. If you are, let me know. If you're not able to hear me, also let me know so that way we're. Okay, let me make sure. Okay, I think I can hear myself, so let's get started. Okay, guys, um, I'm running a little late. Sorry about that. Was having technical difficulties, and it is 6 a.m. for me, so I try my best to wake up very, very early on the weekend for you guys. So, again, we are doing a case study in here in this business analyst in demand Facebook group. And the goal of this case study is to help you guys understand the process that typical BAs go through in a job. Case study means that it's could be an actual organization, but it's an organization that typically is given to business analysts to do a case study for an interview to understand like how your analytical skills are for a BA position. Okay, so again, we will go through. I prepared a few slides for us. We'll go through them. Again, what I had we started last week, so this is actually week 2. So let's get started with that. Okay. If you're with me on Zoom, ask me questions. If you're watching on Facebook Live, I'll get to your questions after this training sessions. It's hard for me to sometimes go in between Zoom and the Facebook group, but I do like the interaction. So if you have any questions, please, please, please ask those questions because I'm investing this time and energy so that I can help you guys understand this. Okay, so let's get started. So again, we're doing a case study for a business analyst interview. I know a lot of people are having to do those, and I've had lots of requests for these types of case studies. So we're doing this from scratch. It is going to take us several weeks. I try not to do a lot of prep stuff for these sessions because I want to do these things with you so that you understand my thought process and are able to ask me questions. Okay, so that is the whole purpose of these training series. I think it'll take us maybe 2 or 3 more weeks to get this completed. But when it is, it's available to you guys in this group for you to, view and go back and understand how we went through this from beginning to end. Okay. So again, let's get started. So my intro, I have 15 years of managing multi-million dollar projects for Fortune 50 companies. I have extensive waterfall and agile background as a BA and as a PM, and I'm still working in the field. I work full-time, a little bit more than full-time. Um, I have the hands-on approach, and I don't really teach the textbook stuff. Lots of people ask me about certifications. Lots of people ask me about, you know, my training methods, and most of the time it's from my background and what I've done. So what I'd like to say is that there's many different ways of the things that I'm teaching you. What I teach you is what I've done in my 15 years of experience. It's not the only way how things are done, so keep that in mind. So if I'm teaching you something you're hearing on YouTube or in another group, another approach or another way of doing things, they're probably all right. There's never one way of doing something, provided that you should have the same results, right? But there's never really one way of doing anything. So again, for this case study, it's a hands-on approach. All of the work will be done in these training sessions, and you need to pay attention and ask questions because I've done this many times, so I may go a lot faster. So if you don't stop me, I'll just keep going. Okay, that's just how it's gonna be. And for Acme Systems, this is the case study scenario that we'll be working with. Let's just do a recap of what it is that we're doing. Acme Systems is Acme Systems is a worldwide leader in providing software for the hotel industry. Our customer Bifold Hotels has requested us to create a system which allows the following. I just copied pasted. There's grammatical errors in there, which is fine. So what they're saying is for cleaning staff, a person who have our app installed on their mobile phone, cleaning staff visits locations assigned and slash rooms assigned to him to clean the room. A supervisor is a person who verifies the work of cleaning staff. An admin is a person who assigns location slash room to cleaning staff and assigns supervisor to rate same. And our requirements for this case study is the cleaning staff on start of his shift login to app. He then visits room slash location, which has been assigned to him by admin. He starts the timer by selecting the location. He does the cleaning to fill the checklist with comments, if any. Once done, he submits a report and marks the task complete, and so on. The supervisor visits the room slash location assigned to him. He pulls out the details of his staff who cleaned the room. He verifies the work and assigns a rate to each item. Once he's done, he finally rates the work. The admin allocates rooms and locations to cleaning staff and supervisor. Each cleaning staff and supervisor can service multiple locations. Your task is to write a SRS document with functional point and wireframes for the web application. So that is what it is, what we're working with. So it is a app. They're requesting for an app to be built for the hotel industry, where the cleaning staff is assigned to each room. There's a supervisor and then there's an admin. Okay. So last week, what we did, we started the case study, we documented our assumptions, and we also worked on the use case diagram. So if you missed last week's session, go back and watch that, please. And today, I thought what we could do is from our session last week, what we did is we created a checklist of things that you should do as a framework, right? So what I'm teaching you is a case study, but it really is a framework that you typically need to follow when you're preparing case studies, as well as if you're on the job as a business analyst. You really should be following these types of like this hierarchy to make sure that you're following like the right approach. Most of the time, things may be, for example, you may be working on as is workflows before you get started in the project to even understand assessment of a project or what the cost may be or what the scope may be. But in a typical scenario, projects are handed to a business analyst once high level scope is identified. And in that scenario, you typically should follow this checklist when you're managing your projects. And again, it's not a fast and hard rule that you should follow, do one before the other, but these are typically the things that you would do as a business analyst on any given project. Okay, I'll pause there for questions if you have any. Okay, sounds good. So I think what we'll do today, and here's the use case diagram that we created last week, just as a recap. We do have personas, right? So we have actors. Our cleaning staff is the primary, supervisor is also a primary, and the admin is also the primary. And these are the things that they're wanting to do based off of what we understood from the requirements. And the staff needs to put in their available work hours. They need to log in, log out. They need to check the schedule, start timer when cleaning room, and then add notes after cleaning is done. For the supervisor, that person also would be, updating the checklist, assigning rooms to the cleaning staff, assign type of cleaning, monitor staff activities, rate staff, and then create schedules. And for the admin, they'll be monitoring also the cleaning process. This should probably be over here, the same bubble. They'll be doing some sort of reporting, and I can't see the bottom bubble and the bottom of the page. And for our secondary actors, we'll have a hotel reservation system, the cleaning supplies, inventory, and payroll. So again, we worked on this last week. If you missed last week's training, please go back and watch it. It was quite helpful to create this list with help of everybody that attended the session. Okay, so again, the goal today, I think if we can get through our as-is workflows, we'll be in good shape for next week. Okay. And again, I don't have any experience in the hotel industry. If any of you guys do, please help me out here. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and pull up a workflow diagramming type of a tool. So just give me 1 second. Okay. So I use a tool called Drawio. It's a free tool that's available online. If you have no experience, so if you are a working BA, you typically will be using a tool called Microsoft Visio. That's typically the standard tools that BAs use in the industry. If you don't, if you're not working as a BA and would like to get experience working in creating workflow diagrams, this is a free tool that you can start to practice. It's called Draw.io, absolutely free online, and it helps you practice diagramming. So again, I am completely new to the hotel industry. I've checked into hotels for travel and whatnot, but I don't actually know how things are done. So when we create these as is workflows, if you have, if you are more familiar with the hotel industry, help me out. If not, that's absolutely okay. We'll try to do the best we can. And it's helpful to understand your as is workflows and working with your stakeholders. That's typically what we do as business analysts, to understand how things need to be different, what the interaction between the customers or stakeholders need to be different in our future state functionality so that we can prepare training, aligned training documentation, aligned change management. So for all of those reasons is why we do as is workflows, okay? And because we're doing a case study, we typically don't have access to stakeholders. So when you are working on these case studies, try to do the best you can in creating these documents. Okay. So again, if you can help me out, that would be awesome. If not, I'll just try to do the best that I know how to do. So typically when you're working, creating diagrams, you have certain symbols, right? So this is an oval. This represents like either a start or an end to a process. Okay, so I'll just put start here. You have a triangle. This is used for to identify a process. And then you typically have a diamond, which is used to represent a decision point. Okay, so these are the three most basic and fundamental shapes that we use in workflow diagrams. So if you understand how these work, you guys can look at diagrams and kind of understand what the flow of a system is or what the flow of a process is. So this is what we'll start with. Okay. You start. Let me go back and read the requirements just one more time. So let's say this the requirements that they're providing here is from an app standpoint for the app that they're going to build. So let's say today what they're using is some sort of a paper document where at the beginning of the week they assign staff to, or every day they assign staff to rooms that need to be cleaned. So when the staff come into work, let's say they come 9 to 5 or whatever their schedule may be, they come into work, they log in, or they, I don't know how they're logging in. They log in, they go into the the break room or where, you know, I guess their manager's office, and they're able to see the schedule on the wall to see what their cleaning schedule is, right? So let's try to do it that way. So typically staff comes into work. I think it's Byford Hotel. So again, I think in our case study, we said that Byford has a chain of hotels. So this app is not just for one hotel, it's for many hotels that are owned by Byford. So just to make it a little bit more interesting. So when we talk about our as is, we will pretend that this is the same process that is used across all of their hotels. So I think let's do swim lane diagrams. So what is a swim lane diagram is a way to showcase different relationships between the different users that you have in the system, okay? Visio makes this a lot easier to do, so bear with me, you guys, as I try to set this up. I'm gonna say that there's no admin for the as is process. It is just a supervisor or maybe manager that yeah, I think we can keep it. But I'm gonna say that the manager just is making sure that the work is getting done and not really rating as we have in the requirements for our workflow today. Let me make the layout. I don't use this very often either, guys, so just bear with me. It's okay. We'll just leave it like that for now. Okay, so let's get started with this. So the process then starts with our supervisor, right? So they first create a, I guess, daily schedule. I guess they have to, right? Based on the people that are checked in every day. So they create a daily schedule, right? Then staff comes in and they check daily schedule. For rooms assigned, right? And then they probably take spreadsheet. So maybe there's a sheet that they take with them for the rooms that are assigned. I don't know. So let's just say that they take spreadsheet or assignment sheet with them to clean rooms. And let's pretend that on this assignment spreadsheet, take assignment spreadsheet. And let's pretend on this assignment spreadsheet is where they're documenting the start and end time. So some of the requirements that we have that they want to put in the app, let's just pretend that those are in the assignment spreadsheet that they're using. So then they take the assignment spreadsheet to start cleaning rooms, take assignment sheet, to clean rooms. And then they start first assignment. And I'm not going to say first because we're going to make this like loop over. Start assignment and record start and end times. Well, actually, start and times, and then inventory or like supplies left in room. I think that's it, right? So when a cleaning staff goes into a room, I think that they need to record start and end time, and they also need to say like if they left coffee or, you know, new towels or something. I think that's the extent of it. And then we want to put a decision in here to say finished with all assignments. Right, if the answer is no, they would go back. We would loop it back here, and I'll show you how to do that. But if they're not done with all assignments, then we want them. So if they are done, then provide assignment sheet to supervisor at end of shift, I think. Okay. Let's not say end of shift, to supervisor. And then the supervisor would then take that supervisor would take the sheet, and then let's say he's gonna go check rooms and rate cleaning. And when he's done, right, so there's multiple people that will be doing this. So we'll say finished with or assessed all rooms, right? If the answer is no, he'll keep doing that. If the answer is yes, then he will complete summary of cleaning for the day. And then that person will hand that report, or we'll call it provide report. Provide cleaning report or create cleaning report. And then it gets handed to the admin. So the admin will review report, and then probably the reason the admin wants to know is they can now make rooms available in the system. So once the rooms are clean, they can make the rooms available in the system. So it kind of all ties in. Okay, so now what we're saying is that the process is starting with the supervisor. So we'll start mapping this out. So create a schedule. Actually, I should have supervisor close to the staff because there's more interaction here. So hold on. Maybe I should make I think I should make the supervisor in the middle. Hold on. Let's move this up. And then another reason why swim lanes are used is to show the relationship between the actors or the users of the system, and also to understand the end-to-end flow. So typically, if we were only to create this workflow for the supervisor or the staff, we would only be creating their processes that they would do in the day-to-day. So by creating swim flow diagrams, you are able to identify how users are interacting with one another, whether it be through manual systems. Here we're talking about a piece of paper that's generated every day and reports that are generated every day, which in our future state environment we want to make sure that we put those things in the app. Okay, so we start with the supervisor. Supervisor creates the daily schedule. The staff come in and they check their schedule. They then take the assignments and they start to clean the rooms. They record time. We want to see if they're done with their assignments. If, let's say, if they're not, then that goes back and loops it back in here. Let me make this a little bit bigger. No, and if they are done, we want them to provide that sheet to their supervisor. So you see how I kind of looped it. So every time they come here, the answer is no. This would loop over and over again. And if they are done, then we would provide that spreadsheet to the supervisor. Once the supervisor has the assignment sheet, the supervisor would then go check the rooms and rate them as our requirement says. We also give the supervisor a loop to finish this and to say, are all rooms assessed? If the answer is no, there's a loop here, which means that the supervisor is continuing to check all of these rooms and rate them. If the answer is yes, then we complete the process, create daily report for that day. That then goes to the admin to review. And once the admin reviews it, we can now make rooms available. And that will mark the end of our flow. Okay, so that's our as is workflow. This is how they're probably doing things today. If we had somebody that has some experience working with hotel staff and as a manager or supervisor, any position, we could validate these things. This is typically what you do is with your stakeholders, you interview them and you try to understand how they're doing their job today. And as once you're done with the requirement sessions, you would typically do a workflow like this to validate what you understood or heard is accurate, right? So that's the whole goal of doing workflows. You're able to interview people, your stakeholders, and put them in pictures. Lots of times when you're interviewing stakeholders, they often forget to tell you some things about their day-to-day process just because they're trying to explain, and too many things may be going on. But if you are able to plot this in a workflow diagram, take it back to them and say, hey, this is what we talked about. Did I miss anything? They're usually able to look at pictures and boxes and arrows and help you, identify things that they may have missed in communicating to you, or that you may have missed in, jotting down. So that is why workflows are extremely important when you're working with stakeholders and when you're building IT systems, because you want to make sure that you don't miss requirements. And that's the usual reason why we do your as is, because you want to understand how they're doing things today and what the future state looks like. Now, another reason why we do workflows is from a change management standpoint. So when you're building systems and you're bringing in new technology, the you need to understand, how things will change for your stakeholders, and you need to be prepared to do some sort of change management. And what that means is, let's say even if we're building an app and we're interviewing stakeholders, we're probably not interviewing all of the staff and all of the supervisors and probably some of the admin, right? So you want to make sure that you start communicating at the company level about this project, so people are not caught off guard when this project is implemented. Because when that happens, the acceptance rate of your project will drop tremendously. But if you start communicating with the people that are involved and the roles that are impacted by the project, right? You'll have a much, much better success rate. So that is another reason why you want to, identify workflows and identify all of the users that are impacted by the system, so you can start that change management, kind of communication, so to make sure that everybody at the company level is aware of what changes are to come. So when they are implemented and when they are rolled out, the acceptance is a little bit more subtle and not like, oh my God, are they taking away my job? Which is typically the situation that lots of people are in when we're upgrading or enhancing systems to do, somebody's job better. So with that, any questions, you guys? And if you're posting questions in the group, I will get back to them. Any questions for people on the Zoom call? Okay, no, that's great. So what I'll do now is I will copy this and put this in our PowerPoint. Let me take out the grids, hold on. I will copy this in our PowerPoint, so that way you guys have everything consolidated. Let's move this up to one page. While I'm doing this, let me know if there's any questions you guys may have. Next week, we'll do our future state workflows. You guys are so quiet. Okay. It's a little bit smaller. Okay, there we go. All right, guys. It's been fun. Thank you so much for attending. Next week, we'll talk about for Acme Systems case study. We'll do our future state functionality or future state workflows. And the following week, we'll start talking about our creating our user stories and all that fun stuff. Okay. Until next week. Yes. Do you have a question?
No, thank you, sir. Please.
You're welcome. All right, guys. I'll talk to you guys again next week.
Yeah. Happy weekends. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.